So we've been working on our guitar builds, and a couple of changes have been made. The first one is that we thought initially that we would be able to go ahead and just dive right into building through neck guitars, and when we started thinking about it a little more carefully, we realized that that was going to be really risky because there's a lot of mahogany involved in building a through neck and a lot of mistakes that can be made with that. So both of us, both Jared and I, decided that we were going to make some dummy necks, some temporaries. And our temporaries, we're just going to make some Telecaster or Squire or Stratocaster type necks. And of course, I can't ever do anything halfway, so as soon as I start doing that, I went from a piece of scrap maple to carve out, and maybe I'll use it as a neck, to hey, let me go ahead and build a whole Telecaster. So I dumped another $50 into hardware, bought some tuners and some pickups for Telecaster, and we're just rolling along on that right now. So right now I'm going to go ahead and glue in another piece to this neck blank, and as soon as I'm done gluing this in, I will go on to other things. There's two other things that we've changed that I can think of right off the top of my head. One is our bandsaw method. We were using a bandsaw fence to do our resawing, and we've decided not to use the fence anymore and to go to using what is essentially a single point method of bandsawing, where the board will run right against a surface like this, so I can actually steer it through. And the advantage to that is I can cut very thin layers of wood that's twisted. So I can cut veneers off of pieces of wood that are twisted and otherwise we'd have to throw away. I'm not really an expert at that. I'm going to find out how good I am at it when I build this thing. The other thing we're going to do that we've changed, we bought this fine file that we're going to cut, probably with a hacksaw, and epoxy to a block of wood to make a fret leveling file. My Telecaster layout isn't quite as fancy as my other layout. I know this looks really fancy, but this is just a Telecaster blueprint printed and then taped out to a board. We're taking measurements off of this to make our components. Another piece where we used some spray adhesive, some vacuum mount adhesive from 3M to stick a Telecaster body outline onto, and we're going to use a bandsaw and then probably sanders to cut out to use this as a template. Now, this is a new template that Jared and I just made the other day. It's actually a template to make more templates out of. So it's the shape of a Telecaster neck. We haven't rounded the end off here yet, but it's basically the exact taper of a Telecaster neck with an exactly centered 1/2-inch groove for running a guided router bit through to cut a truss rod channel. So this is the right length for a truss rod cut, and this is the right length for a Telecaster neck, and this is the right width for the base of the Telecaster neck, and the right width at the nut of the Telecaster neck, and everything is here. And we'll make other templates out of this that have a headstock on them as well, so that we can do a rough cut with a bandsaw. In other words, we use this to draw things out, or and then do a rough cut with a bandsaw, and then double-sided tape this to the top of the blank, and then use a router to trim it. Might not work as well with figured woods, because figured woods are going to chip out when you route them, but will probably work just fine with plain maple and cherry and walnut and mahogany and other hardwoods that are good tone woods for guitars.